Canto 3 of the Lusiads. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Leni. The Lusiads, by Lusiads de Camões. Translated by Sir Richard Francis Burton. Canto 3. Argument of the third canto. The talk of Vasco da Gama with the King of Melinde, wherein he describeth Europe, and recounteth the origin of the kingdom of Portugal, its kings, including the king Dom Fernando, and its principal achievements. The notable feat of Egais Muniz. The Queen of Castile, Dona Maria, visiteth Portugal to crave aid for the battle of the Salado. The loves and luckless fate of Dona Inês de Castro. Some events which befell the king Dom Fernando. Another argument. A populosa Europa se descreve. De Egais Muniz o feito sublimado, Lusitânia, que reis, que guerras teve. Cristo a Afonso se expõe crucificado. De Dona Inês de Castro a pura neve em púrpura converte o povo irado. Mostra-se o vil descuido de Fernando e o grão poder de um gesto suave e brando. Populous Europe passeth in review. Egais Muniz is praised for famous feat. What kings and wars our Lusitania knew! Afonso sees the Christ on cross elate. Agnes de Castro's breast of snowy hue with innocent blood empurpleth popular hate. Fernando's vile neglect is shown to shame, and the high powers that youth and beauty claim. Canto 3. Now my Calliope to teach incline what speech great Gama for the king did frame. Inspire immortal song, grant voice divine unto this mortal who so loves thy name. Thus may the god whose gift was medicine, to whom thou bearest Orpheus, lovely dame, never for Daphne, Clytia, Leucothoe, do love deny thee, or inconstant grow he. Satisfy, nymph, desires that in me teem, to sing the merits of thy Lusians brave, so worlds shall see and say that Tagus' stream rolls Aganippus' liquor. Leave, I crave. Leave flowery Pindus' head, e'en now I deem Apollo bathes me in that sovereign wave. Else must I hold it, that thy gentle sprite fears thy dear Orpheus fade through me from sight. All stood, with open ears in long array, to hear what mighty Gama mote unfold. When, past in thoughtful mood a brief delay, began he thus, with brow high raised and bold. Thou biddest me, O king, to say my say, anent our grand genealogy of old. Thou bidst me not relate an alien story, thou bidst me laud my brother Lusian's glory. That one praise others' exploits and renown is honored custom which we all desire. Yet fear I 'tis unfit to praise mine own, lest praise, like this suspect, no trust inspire. Nor may I hope to make all matters known, for time, however long, were short. Yet, sire, as thou commandest, all is owed to thee. Maugre my will I speak, and brief will be. Nay, more, what most obligeth me, in fine, is that no leason in my tale may dwell. For of such feats, whatever boast be mine, when most is told, remaineth much to tell. But that due order wait on the design, e'en as desirest thou to learn full well. The widespread continent first I'll briefly trace, then the fierce bloody wars that waged my race. Atwixt the zone where Cancer holds command, the lucent suns septentrional meet, and that whose frigid horrors freeze the land, as burns the middle belt with fervid heat, lies haughty Europe. On her goodly strand, facing Arcturus and the Ponent, beat the briny billows of Atlantis' plain, while free towards Ulster flows the midland main. That part where lovely Dawn is born and bred neighboureth Asia, but the curved river from far and fro Rhipaean ranges shed to feed Maeotis' lake with waves that shiver, departs them, and the sea-strait fierce and dread that owned the victory of the Greek deceiver, where now the seaman sees along the shore triumphant Troy's memories, and no more. There farther still the boreal pole below, Hyperborean mountain walls appear, and the wild hills where Aeolus loves to blow, while of his winds the names they proudly bear. Here such cold comfort doth Apollo show, so weak his light, and warmth to shine and cheer, that snows eternal gleam upon the mountains, freezes the sea, and ever freeze the fountains. Here of the Scythic hordes vast numbers be, in olden day a mighty warrior band, who fought for honours of antiquity with the then owners of the Nilus land. But how remote their claims from verity, for human judgments oft misunderstand. Let him who seeks what higher lore revealed ask the red clay that clothes Damascus field. Now, in these wild and wayward parts be told cold Lapland's name, uncultivate Norway, Scandinavia's isle, whose science bold boasts triumphs Italy shall ne'er gainsay. Here, while ne frost ne wintry rigors hold in hand the waters, sea folk ply the way, over the arm of rough Sarmatic main, the Swede, the Brusian, and the shivering Dane. Between the sea and Tanais stream we count strange races, Ruthens, Moscows, and Livonians, Sarmate all of old, and on the Mount Hercynian Marcomanni, now Polonians. Holding the empire Almain paramount dwell Saxons and Bohemians and Pannonians, and other tribes where through their currents flow Rhine, Danube, Amasis, and Albis pour. Twixt distant Ister and the famous strait, where hapless Helle left her name and life, the Thracians roam, a folk of brave estate, Mars' well-loved country, chosen home of strife. There Rhodope and Hemus rue the weight of cursed Othman's rule with horror rife. Byzance they hold beneath their yoke undying, great injury working to great Constantine. Hard by their side the Macedonians rest, whose soil is watered by cold Axius' wave. Icie, of every choicest realm the best, lands of the free, the wise, the good, the brave, that here did breed and bear the fecund breast, and to the world its wit and wisdom gave, wherewith thou, noble Greece, hast reached the stars, no less by arts exalt than arms and wars. The Dalmats follow, and upon the bay, where rose Antenor's walls and while of yore, superb Venetia builds on watery way Adria's queen that erst was lowly poor. Hence seawards runs a landar made to sway forceful the sons of many a stranger shore, an arm of might, whose race hath conquered time, nor less by spirit than by sword sublime. Girdeth her shores the kingdom Neptunine, while nature's bulwarks fence her landward side. Her middle width departeth Apennine, by Mars, her saint and patron glorified. But when the porter rose to rank divine, she lost her prowess and her bellic pride. Humbled she lies, with antique puissance spent, so man's humility may his God content. Gallia can there be seen, whose name hath flown where Caesar's triumphs to the world are told. By Sequana 'tis watered and the road, by Rhine's deep current and Garumna cold. Here rise the rains from Pyrene known, the nymph and sepulchred in days of old, whence, legends say, the conflagrated woods rolled golden streams and flowed silvern floods. Lo, here her presence showeth noble Spain, of Europe's body corporal the head, o'er whose home rule and glorious foreign reign the fatal wheel so many a world hath made. Yet ne'er her past or force or fraud shall stain, nor restless fortune shall her name degrade. No bonds her bellic offspring bind so tight, but it shall burst them with its force of sprite. There, facing Tingitania's shore, she seemed to block and bar the Mediterranean wave, where the known strait its name ennobled deemeth by the less labour of the Theban brave. Big with the burthen of her tribes she teemeth, circled by whelming waves that rage and rave, all noble races of such valiant breast, that each may justly boast itself the best. Hers the Tarragonese, who famed in war made aperture Parthenope obey, the twain Asturias and the hot Navarre twin Christian bulwarks on the Moslem way. Hers the Gallego canny and the rare Castilian, whom his star raised high to sway Spain as her saviour, and his seigneury feel Betis, Leon, Granada, and Castile. See, the head-crowning coronet is she of General Europe, Lusitania's reign, where endeth land and where beginneth sea, and Phoebus sinks to rest upon the main. Willed her the heavens with all just decree by wars to mar the ignoble Moritan, to cast him from herself, nor dare consent he rule in peace the fiery continent. This is my happy land, my home, my pride, where, if the heavens but grant the prayer I pray, for glad return and every risk defied, there may my life light fail and fade away. This was the Lusitania, name applied by Lusus or by Lisa, sons, they say, of ancient Bacchus, or his boon compeers, eke the first dwellers of her eldest years. Here sprang the shepherd, in whose name we see forecast of virile might, of virtue's meed, whose fame no force shall ever hold in fee, since fame of mighty Rome ne'er did the deed. This, by light heaven's volatile decree, that ancient Scyther, who devours his seed, made puissance power in many a part to claim, assuming regal rank, and thus it came. A king there was in Spain, Afonso hight, who waged such warfare with the Saracen, that by his sanguine arms and arts and might he spoiled the lands and lives of many men. When from Herculean Calpe winged her flight, his fame to Caucasus mount and Caspian glen, many a knight, who noblesse coveteth, comes offering service to such king in death. And with intrinsic love inflamed more for the true faith than honours popular, they trooped gathering from each distant shore, leaving their dear-loved homes and lands afar. When, with high feats of force against the Moor, they proved of singular worth in holy war, willed Afonso that their mighty deeds commensurate gifts command and equal needs. Mid them Enrique, second son, men say, of a Hungarian king well known and tried, by sword won Portugal, which, in his day, ne prized was, ne had fit cause for pride. His strong affection, stronger to display, the Spanish king decreed a princely bride, his only child, Theresa, to the count, and with her made him seigneur paramount. This doughty vassal from that servile horde, Hagar, the handmaid's seed, great victories won, reft the broad lands adjacent with his sword, and did whatever bravery bade be done. Him, for his exploits excellent to reward, God gave in shortest space a gallant son, whose arm to noble and in fame was fain the warlike name of Lusitania's reign. Once more at home this conquering Henry stood, whose sacred hero Solima had relieved. His eyes had fed on Jordan's holy flood, which the dear body of Lord God had laved, when Godfrey left no foe to be subdued, and all Judea conquered was and saved. Many that in his wars had done devour, to their own lordships took the way once more. But when this stout and gallant Hun attained life's fatal period, age and travail spent, he gave, by death's necessity constrained, his sprite to him who had that spirit lent. A son of tender years alone remained, to whom the sire bequeathed his bodiment. With bravest braves the youth was formed to cope, for from such sire, such son the world may hope. Yet, old report, I know not what its weight, for on such antique tale no man relies, saith that the mother, ta'en in told estate, a second nuptial bed did not despise. Her orphan son to disinherited fate she doomed, declaring hers the dignities, not his, with seigneury o'er all the land, her spousal dowry by her sire's command. Now Prince Afonso, who such style had ta'en in pious memory of his grandsire's name, seeing no part and portion in his reign, all piled and plundered by the spouse and dame, by dower and doughty Mars' inflamed domain, privily plots his heritage to claim. He weighs the causes in his own conceit, till firm resolve its fit effect shall greet. Of Guimarães the field already flowed with floods of civil warfare's bloody tide, where she, who little of the mother showed, to her own bowels love and land denied, fronting the child in fight the parent stood, nor saw her depths of sin that soul of pride against her God, against maternal love, her sensual passion rose all power above. O magical Medea, O prognate dire, if your own babes in vengeance dared ye kill for alien crimes and injuries of the sire, look ye, Teresa's deed was darker still. Foul greed of gain, incontinent desire, were the main causes of such bitter ill. Scylla her aged sire for one did slay, for both Teresa did her son betray. Right soon that noble prince clear victory won from his harsh mother and her fear undying. In briefest time the land obeyed the son, though first to fight him did the folk incline. But reft of reason and by rage undone, he bound the mother in the biting chain. Eftsoons avenged her griefs the hand of God, such veneration is to parents owed. Lo, the superb Castilian 'gins prepare his part to venge Teresa's injuries, against the Lusian land in man so rare, whereon ne toil ne trouble heavy lies. Their breasts the cruel battle grandly dare aid the good cause angelic potencies, unrecking might unequal still they strive, nay, more, their dreadful foe to flight they drive. Passeth no tedious time before the great prince dure siege in Guimarães dreed, by passing power, for to mend his state came the fell enemy full of grief and greed. But when committed life to direful fate, Egas, the faithful guardian, he was freed, who had in any other way been lost, all unprepared 'gainst such whelming host. But when the loyal vassal well hath known how weak his monarch's arm to front such fight, some order wending to the Spanish foe, his sovereign's homage he doth pledge and plight. Straight from the horrid siege the invader flown trusteth the word and honour of the knight, Egas Muniz, but now the noble breast of the brave youth disdaineth strange behest. Already came the plighted time and tide, when the Castilian Don stood die to see. Before his power the prince bent low his pride, yielding the promised obediency. Egas, who views his knightly word belied, while still Castile believes him true to be, sweet life resolveth to the winds to throw, nor live with foulest taint of faithless vow. He with his children and his wife departeth, to keep his promise with a faith immense, unshod and stripped, while their plight imparteth far more of pity than of vengeance. If, mighty monarch, still thy spirit smarteth to wreak revenge on my rash confidence, quoth he, behold, I come with life to save my pledge, my knightly honour's word I gave. I bring, thou seest here, lives innocent, of wife, of sinless children died to die, if breasts of generous mould and excellent accept such weaklings' woeful destiny. Thou seest these hands, this tongue inconsequent, hereon alone the fierce experiment try of torments, death, and doom that pass in full, sinis or e'en perilous brazen bull. As shrifted white the hangman stands before, in life still draining bitter draught of death, lays throat on block, and of all hope forlore, expects the blighting blow with bated breath. So, in the prince's presence angry sore, Egas stood firm to keep his plighted faith, when the king, marvelling at such wondrous truth, feels anger melt and merge in royal ruth. O the great Portingal fidelity of vassal self-devote to doom so dread! What did the Persian more for loyalty, whose gallant hand his face and nostrils shred, when great Darius mourned so grievously that he 1,000 times deep sighing said, far he preferred his Zopyrus sound again than lord of 20 Babylons to reign. But Prince Afonso now prepared his band of happy Lusians proud to front the foes, those haughty Moors that held the glorious land, yon side where clear delicious Tagus flows. Now on Urique field was pitched and planned the royal campment, fierce and bellicose, facing the hostile host of Saracen, though there so many, here so few there been. Confident, yet would he not confide, save in his God, that holds of heaven the throne. So few baptized stood their king beside, there were 100 Moors for every one. Judge any sober judgment, and decide 'twas deed of rashness or by bravery done, to fall on forces whose exceeding might a century showed to a single knight. Order 5 Moorish kings the hostile host, of whom Ishmael so called command doth claim, all of long warfare large experience boast, wherein may mortals win immortal fame. And gallant dames the knights they love the most, company like that brave and beauteous dame, who to beleaguered Troy such aidance gave, with woman troops that drained Thermodon's wave. The cool serene and early morning's pride now paled the sparkling stars about the pole, when Mary's Son, appearing crucified in vision, strengthened King Afonso's soul. But he, adoring such appearance, cried, fired with a frenzied faith beyond control, "To th' infidel, O Lord, to th' infidel! Not, Lord, to me, who know thy power so well." Such gracious marvel, in such manner sent, flamed delusion's spirits fierce and high towards their natural king, that excellent prince, unto whom love boon none could deny. Aligned to front the foeman prepotent, they shouted resonant slogan to the sky, and fierce the laurel rose, "Real, real, for high Afonso, King of Portugal." As to the fight by calls defied and cries, some fierce Molossian on the wooded height attacks the rampant bull, who most relies on strength of timorous horn to force the fight. Now nips the ear, then at the side he flies, barking, with more of nimbleness than might, till ripped at last the gullet of his foe, he lays the mighty bulk of monster low. So the new king, inflamed with zeal devout, for God, nor less for faithful liege's sake, assails by cunning skill the barbarous rout, with braves the fronting phalanx eth to break, whereat the bandogs, Allah, Allah, shout, and fly to arms. Our raging warriors shake the lance and bow, resound the trumpet tones, the music thunders, echo moans and groans. E'en as the prairie fire enkindled on sun-parched steppe, and winnoweth upper air sibilant Boreas, by the blast swift-blown, o'er bush and arid brake rains flame and flare. The shepherds' lads and lasses, idly strown in rest and gentle slumber, waked by blare of crackling conflagration blazing higher, hamlet-wards force their flocks to fly the fire. The Stonian Moorman in such startled guise snatcheth his weapon hastily and unheed, yet he awaits the fight, nor even flies, nay, spurs his battle-guinet to its speed. Meet him as rash and swift his enemies, whose piercing lances gar his bosom bleed. These fall half slain, while others flee that can, convoking aidance of their Alcoran. There may be viewed counters madly rash, on such no Serra's sturdy strength could stand, while charging here and there the chargers dash, the gifts of Neptune smiting gravid land. Buffets they deal, and blows that bash and smash, burneth and blazeth warfare's blasting brand. But he of Lusiads, coat, mail, plate of steel, hacks, hews, breaks, batters, rives, and rends piecemeal. Men's heads like bullets dance the bloody plain, ownerless arms and legs insensible lie, and quivering entrails tell of mortal pain, and faces fade, and life's fair colours fly. Lost is that impious host, whose heaped slain roll o'er the greenery rills of crimson dye, whereby the grasses lose their white and green, and naught but glow of crimson gore is seen. But now the Lusian victor held the field, his trophies gathering, and his gorgeous prey. The crushed Hispanian Moor was forced to yield, while on the plain 3 days the great king lay. And now he chargeth on his virgin shield what still assures the well-won victory, 5 noble Inescutcheons azure-hued, signing the Moorish five his sword subdued. He paints with bezants five each scutcheon the 30 silvers wherewith God was sold, and various tinctures make his memory known, whose grace and favour did his cause uphold. Painted on every sunk a sunk is shown, and, that the 30 may be fully told, counteth for 2 the one that central lies, of the 5 azures painted crossy wise. Some time has passed since this gain had passed of goodly battle, when the High King hies to take Leiria, lately ta'en, and last conquest that boast our conquered enemies. Herewith Aronches, castle strong and fast, is jointly gained with the noble prize, Scalaby Castro, whose fair fields amene thou, crystal Tagus, bathest all serene. Unto this conquered roll of towns his smite eke addeth Mafra, won in shortest space, and in the mountains which the moon hath hid he clasps frore Cintra to his hard embrace, Cintra, whose naiads love to hide their light by hidden founts and fly the honeyed lace, which love hath woven mid the hills where flow the waters flaming with a living low. And thou, O noble Lisbon, thou encrowned princess elect of cities capital, reared by the fecund rover king renowned, whose wiles laid low Dardania's burning wall, thou, whose commands oblige the seas profound, wast taught to bear the Lusitanians' thrall, aided by potent navies at what time they came crusading from the boreal clime. Beyond Germanic Albis and the Rhine, and from Britannia's misty margins sent, to waste and slay the people Saracen, many had sailed on holy thoughts intent. Now gained the Tagus mouth, our stream amene, to great Afonso's royal camp they went, whose lofty fame did thence the heavens invade, and siege to Elysia's walls they laid. 5 sequent times her front had Luna veiled, 5 times her lovely face in full had shone, when oped her gate the city, which availed no force 'gainst sieging forces round her throne. Right bloody was the assault, and fierce the sailed, e'en as their stubborn purpose bound them down. Aspers the victor, ready all to dare, the vanquished victims of a dire despair. Thus won, she yielded, and, in fine, she lay prostrate that city, which, in days of old, the mighty Mani never would obey, of frigid Scythia's hordes immanely bold, who could so far extend their savage sway, till Ebro sought and Tagus trembling rolled, and some o'er Betis land, in short, so swept, that was the region Vandalia clept. What might of city could perchance endure prowess which proud Lisboa might not bear, who mote resist the powers dure and dour of men whose fame from earth invadeth air? Now yield obedience all Estremadure, Obidos, Torres Vedras, Alenquer, where softly plash the music murmuring waves, mid rocks and reefs whose feet the torrent laves. Eke ye, Transtagan lands, ye justly vain of flavour serious bean and bonny boon, yielded to might above the might of men, the walls and castles by his valour won. Thou too, Moor yeoman, hopest hope insane those riant regions longest lord to own, for Elvas, Moura, Serpa, well-known sites, with Alcácer do Sal must yield their rights. The noble city and sure seat behold, held by Sertorius, rebel fame belong, where now the knitted silvery waters cold, brought from afar to bless the land and home, o'erflow the royal arches hundredfold, whose noble sequence streaks the dark blue dome. Not less succumbed she to her bold pursuer, to Giraldo, entitled Knight sans Peur. Fast towards Beja city, vengeful pressed, to slake his wrath for spoiled Trancoso's wrong, Afonso, who despiseth gentle rest, and would brief human life by fame prolong, feebly resisteth him in his behest the city, falling to his arms ere long, and not of life within her walls but feel the raging victor's edge of merciless steel. With these Palmela yielded to the war, Pisca's Sesimbra eke her finest spoils, Then, aided onwards by his fortunate star, the king a powerful force of foemen foils. Felt it the city, saw it her lord afar, who, to support and aid her, spares no toils. Along the hill-skirt marching, all unware, of rash encounter lacked he heed and care. The king of Badajoz was a Moslem bold, with horse 4,000, fierce and furious knights, and countless peons, armed and dight with gold, whose polished surface glanceth lustrous light. But as a savage bull on lonely wold, whom jealous rage in hot May month incites, sighting a stranger, mad with love and wrath, the brute blind lover chargeth down the path, so doth Afonso, sudden seen the foes that urge their forward march securely brave, strike, slay, and scatter, raining doughty blows. Flies the Moor king, who recks but self to save. Naught save a panic fear his spirit knows. His followers seek to follow, only crave, while ours, who struck a stroke so sore, so fell, were 60 horsemen told in fullest tale. Victory's swift pursuing, rest disdaineth the great untiring king. He mustereth all, the lieges of his land, whom naught restraineth from ever seeking stranger realms to thrall. He wends to leaguer Badajoz, where he gaineth his soul's desire, and battleth at her fall with force so fierce, and art and heart so true, his deeds made others fain to dare and do. But the high Godhead, who when man offends so long deserved penalties delays, waiting at times to see him make amends, or for deep mystery hid from men's dull gaze, if he our valiant king till now defends from dangers, faced fast as foes can raise, lends aid no longer, when for vengeance cries the mother's curses who in prison lies, for in the city which he compassed round, encompassed by the Leonese was he, because his conquests trespassed on their ground, which of Leon and not of Portugal be. Here was his stubborn will right costly found, as happeth oft in human history, and iron maims his legs, as rage inflamed, to fight he flies and falls a captive maimed. O famous Pompey, feel thy wraith no pain to see the fate of noble feats like thine, nor mourn if all just Nemesis ordain thy base be torn by Siren-law and thine. Though Phasis frore and part Siena plain, whose perpendicular shadows ne'er decline, Bootes icebergs and equator fires confess the terror which thy name inspires. Though rich Arabia and the brood ferocious Heniox will calk his region known of yore for golden fleece, and though the Cappadocies and Judeans who one only God adore, though softs of Phoenice and the race atrocious, Cilician with Armenia whence outpour the twain of mighty streams whose farthest fount hides in a higher and a holier mount, and though, in fine, from far Atlantic tide into the Taurus Scythia's towering wall all saw thee conquer, fearless still abide if none save Emathfield beheld thee fall. Thou shalt behold Afonso's oven pride lie subjugate, that subjugated all. Such fate celestial counsel long foresaw thine from a sire, his from a son-in-law. Returned the king sublime, in fine, with sprite by the just doom of judge divine chastised, and when of Santarém in pride of might the Saracen a bootless siege devised, and when of Vincent, martyr Benedai, the precious corse by Christian people prized, from sacrum promontorium was conveyed, and reverent wise in Ulyssia laid. Faster to push the project still in hand, the toil-spent father sent his stout young son, bidding him pass to Alentejo's land with warlike gear and soldiers many a one. Sancho, a sovereign wielder of the brand, straightforward passing, gore-red guards to run the stream whose waters feed Seville, and flood, dyed by the brutish Moorman's barbarous blood. With hunger whetted by this new success, now resteth not the youth till sight his eyes another slaughter, sore as this, oppress the barbarous host that circling Beja lies. Not long the prince, whom fortune loves to bless, waits the fair end where leads his dear emprise. But now the routed Moors to vengeance cleave, their only hope such losses to retrieve. They crowd the mighty mount whereof Meduse robbed his body who the skies upbore. They flock in thousands from Cape Ampelus, and from Tangier, Antaea's seat of yore. A bilous dweller offereth scant excuse, who with his weapon hasteth him the more, when heard the Moorish clarions shrilly toned, and all the reign high Juba whilom owned. The Mir al-Muminin who led the throng from the dark continent past to Portugal, 13 Moor kings he led, high, hot, and strong, to his imperial sceptre subject all. Thus wrecking forceful every tyrant wrong, wherever easy wrong mote state his gall. Sancho in Santarém he flies t' invest, yet his was hardly of success the best. Gives ausperous battle, fighting fury fraught, the hateful Moor 1,000 feints designing. Ne horrid catapult avails him aught, ne forceful battering ram, ne hidden mining. Afonso's son, conserving force and thought and firm resolve with warlike skill combining, foreseeth all with prudent heart and art, and stern resistance brings to every part. But now the veteran, doomed by years to ease and gentle rest from life of toil and teen, being the city, down whose pastured leas Mondego's wavelets kiss the hem of green, when learned how fast his son beleaguered is in Santarém by Moormen blind with spleen, fast from the city flies the foe to meet, age idless spurning with fast eager feet. He heads his army, tried in war and known his son to succour, and his well-led host shows wonted Portingal fury all their own, till, in brief time, the Moor is broke and lost. The battle-plain, whose blood-stained front is strewn with steely coats and caps of varied cost, horse, charger, harness, rich and worthy prize, heaped with their owners' mangled corpses lie. Forth fares the remnant of the Paynimry from Lusitania, hurled in headlong flight, but Mir al-Muminin may never flee, for ere he flee his life hath fled the light. To him whose arm vouchsafed such victory, in praise and stintless prayer our hosts unite. Chances so passing strange make clear to ken God's arm smite sorer than all arms of men. Such crown of conquest still bedecked the brow of old Afonso, lord of lofty fame, when he, in fine, who ever foiled his foe, was foiled by ancient time's unyielding claim. Passed the death-sickness o'er his pallid brow its frigid hand, and wrung his feeble frame, and thus the debt on mortal shoulders laid, his years to gloomy Libitina paid. His loss the lofty promontories mourn, and from the wavy rivers floods of grief with lakelets overspread the fielded corn, and trickling tears are sorrow's sole relief. But ring so loud o'er earth's extremest bourne the fame and exploits of our great lost chief, that evermore shall echo for his reign, Afonso, Afonso, cry, and cry in vain. Sancho, his lusty son, the worthy heir of his great father's valour, force, and might, as did his early doings clear declare, when Betis fled ensanguined from the fight, and from Andalusia forced to fare the barbarous king and people Ishmaelite, and more, when they who vainly bejagured of his shrewd blows themselves had borne the hurt, after he had been raised to royal hest, and held for years a few his father's land, he went the city's sylvas to invest, ploughed whose plain the barbarous peasant's hand. With allies valorous was his daring blest the sturdy Germans, whose armada manned by furnished host was flying o'er the wave, the lost Judea to regain and save. To join in holy enterprise they went, Red Frederick, who did first to move begin his mighty armament and succour sent toward the town where Christ had died for men. And Guy, whose crosiers were by thirst bespent, yielded his sword to gallant Saladin. There, where the Moslem host was well supplied with what restored to those of Guy denied, but that majestical armade that came by dint of stormwind o'er the Lisbon bar would aid our Sancho the foul foe to tame, all being bounden for the holy war. As to his father, hap to him the same, and Lisbon fell to fortune similar. Aided by Germans, Silves town he takes, and the fierce dwellers slaves or subject makes. And if so many trophies from a hound his valour snatched, eke denies his pride the Leonese in peace to till their ground, whom Mart with martial usage loved to guide, till on the bended neck his yoke he bound of haughty Tui and all its countryside, where many a city felt the dreaded blow which with thine arms thou, Sancho, broughtest low. But mid his many palms this prince waylaid the stroke of timorous death. His heir preferred was that esteemed son whom all obeyed, second Afonso, of our kings the third. He reigning Alcácer do Sal was made ours, snatched for ever from the Moorish herd, that erst was taken by the Moor beset, and now perforce he pays of death the debt. Afonso dying, straight to him succeedeth a second Sancho, easy-going soul, who in his weakling idlesse so exceedeth the ruled rule their ruler and their tool. He lost the reign, for which another pleadeth by private preference deprived of rule, since, governed only by his minions' will, he made him partner in their works of ill. Yet ne'er was Sancho, no, such profligate past, as was that Nero wedded with a boy, who in foul incest showing horrid zest, his mother Agrippina dared enjoy. Ne'er with strange cruel arts did he molest the liege, nor guard the torch his town destroy. He was no waster, no Heliogabalus, no woman king like soft Sardanapalus. Ne'er was his tyrannized people so chastised as wretched Sicil by her tyrant bane, ne like the despot Phalaris he'd devise novel inventions for inhuman pain. But his high-hearted realm, which ever prized lords of the highest hopes and sovereign strain, would ne'er whole-souled such a king obey, who showed not fittest for the kingly sway. Hence came the governance of the reign to right the county Bolognese, and he arose at length to kingship, when from life took flight his brother Sancho, sunk in soft repose. This, whom the brave Afonso subjects hide, when fenced his kingdom from internal foes, strives to dilate it. What his sire possessed is worlds too narrow for so big a breast. Of both Algarves, given to his hand in gift of bridal dowry, greater part his arm recovers, and outdrives the band of Moors ill-treated now by hostile Mart. He freed and made the mistress of her land our Lusitania, such his Gallic art, till final ruin whelmed the mighty hordes, where'er earth owned Lucis subjects lords. See, next that Geniche comes in whom is seen the brave Afonso's offspring true and dying, whereby the mighty boast obscured been the vaunt of liberal Alexander's line. Beneath his sceptre blooms the land serene, already compassed golden peace divine, with constitution, customs, laws, and rights, a tranquil country's best and brightest lights. The first was he who made Coimbra own Pallas Minerva generous exercise. He called the Muses' squire from Helicon to tread the league that by Mondego lies. Whate'er of good whileer hath Athens done, here proud Apollo keepeth every prize. Here gives he garlands wove with golden ray, with perfume nard and ever-verdant bay. Brave towns and cities reared his hand anew, stout fortalice and strongly castle mure, while his well-nigh reformed kingdom grew with stalwart towers and lofty walls secure. But when drear Atropus cut short the clue and shore the thin-spun thread of life mature, arose, to filial duty nidering, the fourth Afonso, yet a brave good king. This proud Castillas bravades with equal pride the spies, of soul and breast serenely grand, for aye the Lusitanian sprite defied fear of the strongest, though the smaller band. But when the Mauritanian races hied to win and wear Hesperia's winsome land, and marched boldly to Debel Castile, superb Afonso went to work her wheel. Ne'er did Semiramis such myriads see, who o'er the wide Hydaspic prairie trod, nor Attila, who daunteth Italy with dreadful boast, self-titled scourge of God, hurried such Gothic hosts to victory, as the wild Saracens stupendous crowd, with all the excessive might Granada yields, that flock to battle on Tartessus fields. When saw Castilia's monarch, high and hot, such force inexpugnable, fain of strife, dreading lest all Hispania come to naught, once lost ere this, far more than loss of life, aid of our Lusian chivalry he sought, and sent the summons by his dearest wife, his spouse who sent her, and the joy and pride of the fond father to whose realm she hied. Entered Maria, fairest of the fair, her father's palace halls of towering height. Lovely her jest, though joy was crushed by care, that brimmed her beauteous eyes with tears that blight, and waved her glorious wealth of golden hair o'er neck and shoulders ivory smooth and white. Before her gladly greeting sire she stood, and told her mission in this melting mood. Whatever various races earth hath borne, the fierce strange peoples of all Afric land, leadeth Morocco's mighty monarch, sworn our noble Spain to conquer and command. Power like this ne'er met beneath the morn, since bitter ocean learned to bathe the strand. They bring such fierceness and a rage so dread, the living shake and quake the buried dead. He, to whose arms thou gavest me to wife, his land defending when such foes invade, offers himself, or feeble for the strife, to the hard mercies of the Moorish blade. If, sire, thou deign not aid at all dear life, me shalt thou see from out the kingdom fade, widowed, wretched, doomed to lot obscure, son realm, son husband, e'en son life secure. Wherefore, O king, of whom for purest fear Moluccia's currents in their course congeal, cast from thee dull delay, rise, swift appear, a second saviour to our sad Castile. If this thy countenance, beaming love so dear, set on the father's fond proud heart its seal, haste, father, succour, and thou hasten not, haply he faileth who thy succour sought. Not otherwise fear-filled Maria spake her sire than Venus, when in saddest strain she pled to great All-Father for the sake of her Aeneas tossing on the main, and in Jove's breast could such compassion wake, his dreadful thunders from his hand fall vain. The clement Godhead all to her concedeth, and mourneth only that no more she needeth. But now the squadded warriors muster dance on Eburentian plains with fierce array, glint in the sun-glare harness, sword, spear, lance, and richly furnished destriers prance and neigh. The bannered trumpets with a blast advance, rousing men's bosoms from the gentle sway of holy peace to dire refulgent arms, and down the dales reverberate war's alarms. Majestic marcheth, girt by all his powers, the insignia of his royal state among, valiant Afonso, and his tall form towers by neck and shoulders taller than the throng. His jest alone embraves the heart that cowers, in his stout presence walks the weakling strong. Thus to Castilia's realm he leads his band, with his fair daughter, lady of the land. In fine, when met the kings, Afonso's twain, upon Tarifa's field, they stand to front that swarming host of stone-blind heathen men, for whom are small the meadows and the mount. No sprite there liveth of so tough a grain, but feels its faith and trust of small account, that it not clearly see and fully know, Christ by his servant's arms shall smite the foe. The seed of Hagar laughing, as it were, to view the Christian power so weak, so mean, begins the lands, as though their own, to share ere one among the conquering Hagarine. Such forged title and false style they bear, claiming the famous name of Saracen. Thus with false reckoning would they strip and spoil, calling it theirs, that noble alien soil. E'en so the barbarous giant, huge and gaunt, with cause to royal souls so dread appearing, when seen the swordless shepherd stand affront, armed but with pebbles, and with heart unfearing, launched his sneer of pride and arrogant taunt at the weak youngling's humble raiment jeering, who, whirled a sling, soon read the lesson well, how much shall faith all human force excel. Thus do the moormen, traitor souls, despise our Christian forces, nor can understand how heaven's high fortress wonted aid defies, which in horrific hell may not withstand. On this and on his skill Castile relies, falls on Morocco's king, strikes hand to hand. The Portingal, who holds all danger light, makes the Granadan kingdom fear his might. Behold, the brandished blade and lance at rest rang loud on coat and crest, a wild onset. They cried, as each his several law confessed, these Santiago, and those Mahomet. The cries of wounded men the skies oppressed, whose flowing blood in ugly puddles met, where other half-slain wretches drowning lay, who dragged their shattered limbs from out the fray. With such prevailing force the Lusian fought the Granadille, that in the shortest space an utter ruin of his host was wrought. Ne fence, ne steely plate our strokes could face. With such triumphant victory cheaply bought, unsatisfied, the strong arm flies apace, and timely aids Castilia's toiling power, still mixed in doubtful conflict with the Moor. Now brightly burning Sol had housed his wain in Thetis' bower, and his slanting ray sank westward, bearing Hesper in his train, to close that rare and most memorious day, when of the Moors those valiant sovereigns twain the dense and dreadful squadron swept away, with such fell slaughter as ne'er told of men, the page of story since the world began. Ne'er could strong Marius e'en the quarter show of lives here victimed by victorious fate, when to the river, red with gory glow, he sent his thirsty braves their drought to sate. They yet the Carthaginian, Asper's foe, to Roman power and cradled in her hate, when slain so many knights of noble Rome, of their gold rings he sent 3 bushels home. And if so thou so many souls to flit couldst force, and seek Cassitus' reign of night, when thou the holy city didst acquit of the base Judean, firm in olden right, 'twas that Jehovah's vengeance thus saw fit, O noble Titus, not thine arm of might, for thus inspired men had prophesied, and thus by Jesus' lips was certified. Accomplished his act of arms victorious, home to his Lusian realm Afonso sped, to gain from peacetide triumphs great and glorious, as those he gained in wars and battles dread. When the sad chance, on history's page memorious, which can unsepulchre the sheeted dead, befell that ill-starred miserable dame, who, foully slain, a throned queen became. Thou, only thou, pure love, whose cruel might obligeth human hearts to weal and woe, thou, only thou, didst wreak such foul despite, as though she were some foul perfidious foe. Thy burning thirst, fierce love, they say aright, may not be quenched by saddest tears that flow. Nay, more, thy sprite of harsh tyrannic mood would see thine altars bathed with human blood. He placed thee, fair Inage, in soft retreat, culling the first-fruits of thy sweet young years, in that delicious dream, that dear deceit, whose long endurance fortune hates and fears. Hard by Mondegos yearn for Medes thy seat, where linger, flowing still, those lovely tears, until each hill-born tree and shrub confessed the name of him deep-writ within thy breast. There in thy prince awoke responsive wise dear thoughts of thee, which soul deep ever lay, which brought thy beauteous form before his eyes, whene'er those eyne of thine were far away. Night fled in falsest, sweetest fantasies, in fleeting, flying reverie sped the day, and all, in fine, he saw or cared to see were memories of his love, his joys, his thee. Of many a dainty dame and damsel the coveted nuptial couches he rejecteth, for naught can e'er, pure love, thy care dispel, when one enchanting shape thy heart subjecteth. These whims of passion to despair compel the sire, whose old man's wisdom aye respecteth, his subjects murmuring at his son's delay, to bless the nation with a bridal day. To wrench Aeneas from life he doth design, better his captured son from her to wrench, deeming that only blood of death and dying the living lowe of such true love can quench. What fury willed it that the steel so fine, which from the mighty weight would never flinch of the dread moorman, should be drawn in hate to work that hapless delicate lady's fate? The horrible hangman hurried her before the king, now moved to spare her innocence, but still her cruel murder urged the more the people swayed by fierce and false pretence. She, with her pleadings pitiful and sore, that told her sorrows and her care immense for her prince spouse and babes, whom more to leave than her own death the mother's heart did grieve, and heavenward to the clear and crystalline skies raising her eyne with piteous tears bestain, her eyne, because her hands with cruel ties one of the wicked minsters constrained, and gazing on her babes in wistful guise, whose pretty forms she loved with love unfeigned, whose orphaned lot the mother filled with dread, unto their cruel grandsire thus she said: If the brute creatures which from natal day on cruel ways by nature's will were bent, or feral birds whose only thought is prey upon aerial rapine all intent, if men such salvage beings have seen display to little children loving sentiment, e'en as to Ninus' mother did befall, and to the twain who reared the Roman wall, O thou, who bear'st of men the jest and breast, an it be manlike thus to draw the sword on a weak girl, because her love impressed his heart, who took her heart and love in ward, respect for these her babes preserve at least, since it may not her obscure death retard. Moved be thy pitying soul for them and me, although my faultless fault unmoved thou see. And if thou knowest to deal in direful fight the doom of brand and blade to Moorish host, know also thou to deal of life the light to one who ne'er deserved her life be lost. But an thou wouldst mine innocence thus requite, place me for aye on sad exiled coast, and Scythian sleet, on seething Libyan shore, with lifelong tears to linger evermore. Place me where beasts with fiercest rage abound, lions and tigers, there, let me find, if in their hearts of flint be pity found, denied to me by heart of humankind. There, with intrinsic love and will so fond for him whose love is death, there will I tend these tender pledges whom thou seest, and so shall the sad mother cool her burning woe. Inclined to pardon her the king benign, moved by this sad lament to melting mood, but the rude people and fate's dure design, that willed it thus, refused the pardon sued. They draw their swords of steely temper fine, they who proclaim as just such deed of blood, against a lady caitiff, felon wights. How showed ye here, brute beasts or noble knights? Thus on Polyxena, that beauteous maid, last solace of her mother's age and care, when doomed to die by fierce Achilles' shade, the cruel Pyrrhus hasted brand to bear. But she, a patient lamb by death waylaid, with the calm glances which serene the air, casts on her mother, mad with grief, her eyes, and silent waits that awesome sacrifice. Thus dealt with fair Aeneas the murderous crew, in th' alabastrine neck that did sustain the charms whereby could love the love subdue of him who crowned her after death his queen, bathing their blades, the flowers of snowy hue, which often watered by her eyne had been, are blood-dyed, and they burn with blinding hate, reckless of tortures stored for them by fate. Well mightest shorn of race, O son, appear to fiends like these on days so dark and dire, and when Thyestes ate the meats that were his seed, whom Atreus slew to spite their sire. And you, O hollow valleys, doomed to hear her latest cry from stiffening lips expire, her Pedro's name did catch that mournful sound whose echoes bore it far and far around. E'en as a daisy sheen that hath been shorn in time untimely, florid, fresh, and fair, and by untender hand of maiden torn to deck the chaplet for her wreathed hair, gone is its odor and its colours morn, so pale and faded lay that lady there. Dried are the roses of her cheek, and fled the white life-colour with her dear life dead. Mondego's daughter-nymphs the death obscure wept many a year with wails of woe exceeding, and for long memory changed to fountain pure the floods of grief their eyes were ever feeding. The name they gave it, which doth still endure, revived in age whose murdered love lies bleeding. See yon fresh fountain flowing mid the flowers, tears are its waters and its name Amores. Time ran not long ere Pedro saw the day of vengeance dawn for wounds that ever bled, who, when he took in hand the kingly sway, eke took the murderers who his rage had fled. Then a most cruel Pedro did betray, for both, if human life the foeman dread, made concert savage and dure pact unjust as Lepidus made with Anthony and Augustus. This, in his judgments rigorous and severe, plunder, advoutries, murderers suppressed, to stay with cruel grasp crime's dark career, bred soul assured solace in his breast. A justiciary, not by love but fear, he guarded cities from hot tyrant past, their doom more robbers dreed by his decrees than Theseus slew or vaguing Hercules. Pedro, the harshly just, begets the bland. See what exceptions lurk in nature's laws. Remiss, and all regardless Prince Fernand, who ran his realm in danger's open jaws. For soon against the weak, defenceless land came the Castilian, who came nigh to cause the very ruin of the Lusian reign, for feeble kings and feeble strongest strain. Or 'twas the wages sin deserves of heaven that filched Leonor from marriage bed, by false misunderstood opinions driven another's wife, a lemon bride, to wed. Or 'twas because his easy bosom given to vice and vileness, and by both misled, waxed effeminate weak, which may be true, for low-placed loves the highest hearts subdue. Of such offences ever paid the pain many, whom God allowed or willed he. Those who fared forth to force the fair Helen, Appius and Tarquin, eke such end did see. Say, why should David of the saintly strain so blame himself? What felled the illustrious tree of Benjamin? Full well the truth design a Pharaoh for Sarah, Sichem for a Dinah. But if so weakeneth forceful human breast illicit love, which spurns the golden mean, well in Alcmena's son we find the test as Omphale disguised to hero queen. Anthony's fame a shade of shame confessed, to Cleopatra bound by love to kin. Nor less thou, Punic victor, wast betrayed by low allegiance to some Puglian maid. Yet say who, peradventure, shall secure his soul from Cupid, armed with artful snare, mid the live roses, human snows so pure, the gold and alabaster crystal clear? Who scapeth beauty's wills and peregrine lure, the true Medusa face so awful fair, which man's imprisoned, witch-bound heart can turn, no, not to stone, but flames that fiercely burn? Who seeth a firm-fixed glance, a gesture bland, soft promise of angel excellence, the soul transforming, aye by charm command? Say, who from power like this can find defence? Pardie, he scantly blameth King Fernand, who pays, as he did, love's experience. But human judgment would, if fancy-free, adjudge his laches even worse to be. End of Canto 3.